Chapter 31. Egypt Fails Us. The Lord repeatedly warned his covenant people not to rely upon Egypt for deliverance from the Assyrians. But even after Egypt let the 10 tribes down and let Assyria sweep the 10 tribes away, the Jews still sought Egypt's help. They were in awe of Egypt's horsemen and chariots, and thus turned to them again rather than to the Lord. But the Lord is not just suggesting that the covenant people don't rely upon Egypt. He's placing a woe upon them if they do. This is serious. The risk they take in trusting governments over God will be substantial, even lethal. The Egyptians are men and not gods, Isaiah says. They will fail us. Then he says that not only will Egypt and its military fall, but those they try to help will also fall. It's a perfect recipe for disaster. But in the end, and in the end times, many covenant people will choose to rely upon the government and its military for deliverance, when the government and its military won't even be able to protect themselves. The Lord tells us why we should place our trust and our lives in His care. He is trustworthy. He's like a lion who protects its prey even when multitudes of shepherds are called forth against him. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion. As a bird flying over its nest to protect it, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. So will He protect it, and so will He preserve it. Judah and Jerusalem, the covenant people who have entered into the waters of baptism, will be protected and preserved if they will trust in God, humbly doing all His prophet tells them to do. Until the last possible moment, God will call upon His people to return to Him. Through His servants, He will search out the humble wherever they may be, in every nation under heaven. But still, some of the elect will have hoarded their silver and gold, even when the only currency of value is food. But then, even these stubborn covenant people will relinquish their faith in idols of silver and gold, and will finally place their trust in God and His servants. For in the end, there is no other hope, and God will, in fact, slay the wicked who prey upon the meek and humble. His sword, not the sword of man, will devour the Assyrian, and the Assyrian's young warriors will melt away, or stay and become servants of the righteous. The Assyrian king's officers and princes will panic at the sight of the ensign and flee for their lives. This ensign is both the servant of Christ, who has power to slay with the breath of His lips, and the city of Zion itself, the New Jerusalem, which will glow with the flame of God's glory and cause the wicked to tremble with fear. So, what is the message of chapter 31? When the great and terrible day of the Lord is upon us, don't look to the government or its military for help. Even your idols of gold and silver will be worthless. Turn to God with all your heart and follow the voice of His Spirit and the clarion voice of His prophet. Only in submitting to God's will and trusting in His divine protection will true and lasting safety be found. All of this is discussed in much greater detail in the book, The Words of Isaiah, which you can find at the website, thewordsofisaiah.com. I'm Curtis Taylor with The Words of Isaiah.